My name's Claire Baker and I'm a former clutterholic. Back in 2001, I successfully overcame my clutter challenge, having had it out of control for 3 years at that point. How did I do that? I spent a year working out what it was that I wasn't doing, that naturally clutter-free and organised people were doing. I understood the process that they went through to make decisions. I used the tools and techniques and created the habits that they naturally had, so that not only could I clear my backlog of clutter, but so that I could stay completely clutter-free as well. And touch wood, I've been completely clutter-free ever since. Since I managed to do it myself on my own clutter, I've been sharing that skill, those tools and techniques and habits with other determined declutterers who want to get back control themselves. So, do you like those TV programs about hoarding and about clutter? There are lots of them about, especially at this time of year when we're into spring clean season. But have you noticed on those programs how those hoarders and clutterholics as they clear more clutter, their stress levels actually increase as they see that the time is running out, the help that they're getting is coming to an end, and as the pressure increases to let go and get rid of lots of clutter, their stress levels increase. Not a great place to be with. Having worked with people who have been on those TV programs and who've realised that actually it doesn't help them in the long term and that a lot of the clutter is hidden behind the camera, I know that the stress levels are very, very high during and certainly at the end of those programs that are made. They start their clutter clearing in the belief that their clutter-free home will reduce their stress levels. But in fact, the opposite happens. The stress levels increase. Maybe you've experienced something similar. If you've ever tried to have a blitz, we set aside time, don't we? A weekend or even a week. Friends and family might offer to come and help. Yet having that time limit or having the help actually adds to the stress before we even start, and you feel the pressure to chuck away things, or the more you feel that you should throw away things, the more you actually want to hold on to them just in case, because they might come in useful. Any of this sound familiar? I know I did that a lot when I had my clutter challenge, and a lot of my clients and members ever since have had the same experiences. Well, what I want to share with you today is the good news. The good news is that there is a proven scientific reason why this happens. And this is what I actually share during my 12-week Clutter College program with my students. 11 years ago, in 2003, a psychiatrist called Beth Gurnashey, I apologise if that's the incorrect pronunciation, Beth Gurnashey of Bard College, which is in New York State, she did a study to look at the relationship between obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD as it's known for short. Now, if you're a normal clutterholic, you think I'm not at the hoarder end of the scale, and the fact that you're watching this video, hopefully voluntarily, suggests that you're not actually a hoarder, which is an OCD defined problem. Hoarding is now classified as one of the obsessive compulsive disorders. So I'm going to assume that you're not a hoarder. If you are a hoarder, then that's great. The fact that you're watching this video means that you clearly want to deal with this and overcome it. If you've seen my video on the 5 types of clutterholics, then you'll know that there's actually a scale of clutterholics, which starts at secret clutterholic and goes all the way through to hoarder. So all hoarders actually start off as a secret clutterholic, somebody who scurries away and hides their clutter. The varying levels of clutterholic then increases, and we end up at the hoarder end of the scale. So we can actually argue that this research is relevant to those of us who have clutter, even though it was done on people who were at the OCD end of the scale for which hoarding would be part of it. Okay, so again, we can kind of pare it down a bit, but the principles apply to those of us who have or have had clutter. So back to the research. What Beth Guernashy discovered was that as the OCD symptoms decreased with treatment, people who had mild PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, or stress, those people found that the stress symptoms actually increased. Okay, so as one went down, the other went up. Let me show you with the power of my wonderful drawing. I do apologise in advance, as always. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that my handwriting and my drawing is not great. Okay, so let's imagine that we have a graph. This is time. Okay, this is time, and this is level. So let's say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as we increase time. Okay. So what we're saying, or rather what Beth Guernashy's research showed, was that in terms of the obsessive compulsive disorder, which as we know is the hoarding, the desire to hold on and keep things because they might come in useful, as that decreased, so that's the OCD, getting treatment, clearing the clutter over time, the amount of clutter, the amount of hoarding decreases. In comparison, the stress increased. Okay, so we're almost replacing the hoarding with high stress levels. Which would you rather have? We'd obviously like to have neither, but ultimately that's what she established was happening. Now, I fully appreciate that we are looking at the two extreme ends of the scale, the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and the obsessive compulsive disorder. But like I say, you know, the stress, I'm sure you can relate to that in terms of clearing clutter, and OCD, hoarding, like I say, is on a scale of clutterholic. A secret clutterholic can end up becoming a hoarder. In fact, when I had my clutter challenge, I was well on the way to becoming a hoarder. So I believe from my 13 years of experience now that I have actually seen this in action. It's ironic that Beth Guernashy actually did this report not long after I started to help people clear their clutter. So what is this research actually telling us other than the obvious? Well, it helps us, those of us who have, if you like, general clutter as opposed to hoarding, which is at the OCD end of the scale. It does actually tell us 7 key things which are useful to be aware of as we try to clear the clutter or start our clutter clearing journey. So let me just make a little bit of space so I can share with you the 7 things that it tells us. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first thing that it tells us, key things. I hope you can read this. The first key thing that it tells us is why a blitz won't work. Why blitz, B-L-I-T-Z, won't work. How does it tell us that? Well, because it causes our stress levels to rise over a short period of time. A blitz would mean that this time part of the graph is very short. So if we do a blitz, wow, our stress level is going to increase very, very quickly if we ruthlessly throw things away. So as we are ruthless, which means the amount of clutter reduces quickly, the the stress levels are going to rise very quickly. That ain't good for no one. Nobody wants to put themselves under that immense amount of stress. Equally, if we only give ourselves the options of keep, chuck or charity, which is what we normally have to do if we're doing a blitz approach, then the stress levels are going to go up. Okay, so that explains why blitz won't work. It also helps explain why a blitz can cause us to hold on to even more things. So why hold on to more? Why we hold on to even more? Because we associate the letting go, the red line is the letting go, we associate that with increased feelings of stress. So we'd rather actually keep hold of the things up here where the stress levels are low. Nobody really wants to put themselves under stress for any period of time. If we can avoid stress, we will. It's just human nature, isn't it? So it helps us explain why we want to hold on to more, because when we let go and get rid of things quickly and are ruthless, the stress levels goes up. It also helps explain why having a blitz can cause us to reclutter, not just to hold on, but if we do actually let go and have that blitz, it can help explain why it is that we reclutter our homes. Because the increase in stress, we decide, actually, you know what, that's worse than the discomfort. It takes us a while to recover from that stress, if indeed we ever do. So that stress is worse than the discomfort or stress caused by having a lot of clutter. This is our comfort zone when we have a lot of clutter. So we're going to put off causing that increase in stress for as long as we can. So because we are still accumulating clutter, because we haven't dealt with this end of the conveyor belt during our blitz, we will generally accumulate more, because the stress caused by letting go and being ruthless is too great. So we slowly over time reclutter our homes because it's too stressful. Number 4, it explains why clutter clearing must be a journey. So clutter clearing journey. Ooh, just fit it in. Sorry if you can't quite read that. It helps explain why our clutter clearing must be a journey. If you have seen my previous video about explaining about the clutter clearing journey and how the fact that it's a series of climbing and scaling mountains, and how big your mountain range is depends on how many rooms there are that need to be cleared of clutter. It explains why it must be a journey. Why? Because a journey implies that there is time. It implies that this timeline is long. So a blitz is a short timeline, whereas a journey has a longer timeline, which means, if we do that again, it means it can be gentler. So the stress is gentler. We have time to get used to the adjustment, the less clutter. And it also means that the stress levels don't get as high as they would be if we did it in a short period of time. This is what happens when I work with a hoarder. We do a little bit of clutter clearing each and every week. We do 3 hours of actual clutter clearing. I'm in their home for between 4 and 5 hours a week. Just 1 day a week. They have the counselling at the same time, parallel. Why do they have the counselling? To keep this stress level down. So they're letting go of clutter with me at a practical level in their home. And then before I turn up the next week, they have a counselling session to help keep this stress level down and under control so that it doesn't shoot up, as Beth's research showed that it does if we've got OCD, of which hoarding is now a recognised disorder. Okay, so the more time we give ourselves, the more we can manage those stress levels and get used to the reducing amount of clutter. Make sense? Okay. The next thing, what are we on to? 5. The 5th thing that this research and this graph tells us is why you will never be able to rush a hoarder or make force them to make decisions. So why not rush? Okay, the reason why we can't rush it is because if we try and rush it, the stress levels will shoot up. It'll just make it all worse. We'll hold on to more, all of these things combined. The 6th thing that it tells us is why the more clutter we have, the harder it is to let go and to make decisions. So more clutter equals harder, which is unfortunate. But again, if we acknowledge that, at least we can do something about it. We can be aware of it. When we are aware of things, we can make informed decisions about kind of how to deal with it. Because the more clutter we have, the higher this red line is on this scale. So if we haven't got a lot of clutter, then actually we can get quite a lot done quickly. We can clear it quickly, and our stress levels probably won't go particularly high. Whereas the more clutter we have, and as we can see here, the hoarder line is up here, whereas a secret clutterholic, again, if you've seen my other video, you'll know a secret clutterholic will have less clutter in the first place. So they'll get it cleared quicker, and the stress caused by doing that clearing won't be as high. Okay. And then finally, the 7th thing that it tells us is it helps explain why someone going through our clutter and throwing things out for us, which you very often see in these TV programs. I always wince with a bit of pain as I see these experts coming in and pressurizing people to chuck things away, or going through and picking out what they consider to be obvious rubbish. That it explains why someone can't go through it for us, why we have to do it. So why we have to do it. Because, and again, I've worked with people who have been on these TV programs. I've worked with people who have had experts in to do it for them. They have definitely experienced the increased stress levels. We may think that getting somebody in to help us, to make us be ruthless, to put ourselves under that extra pressure. Well, I'm paying for this person to come to my home, so I'm going to have to be ruthless, because otherwise I won't achieve anything and I'll have paid for it, etc., etc. All it's actually going to do is cause us to feel under the time pressure, so to shorten the timeline side, which will increase the stress to a higher level and even quicker. Even if it's not having somebody in and paying them for that help, or getting the TV programs in, it will still increase those stress levels. Friends and family is almost even worse, because they're much more likely to tell you what they think and tell you how ridiculous it is that you can't let go of XYZ. Whereas when you pay somebody to come and help you, generally they'll be much more polite because you are paying them. So they're not going to insult their customer by saying, for goodness sake, come on, get rid of this thing. So either way, the stress levels increase a lot quicker when we have somebody come in to either do it for us or to help us and put us under that pressure to let go of things quickly. It just won't work because the stress levels are going to go through the roof. Make sense? Sound familiar? Have you experienced this? I wouldn't be surprised if you had. I know I did experience this when I had my clutter. When I found out about this research, because I do professional reading on a regular basis just to see what the latest findings are and how they might relate to clutter and hoarding. I was comforted in a way to know that actually I was all right to feel uncomfortable about having friends and family come round to help, standing there with the black bin bags as they were encouraging me to chuck away things in my clutter. And it helped explain why that felt very uncomfortable and just not right. It helped explain why, when I discovered the clutter clearing process, which enables us to make decisions and start our clutter clearing journey and be kind to ourselves, it helped me understand. And it also helped understand why it is that actually, you know what, our clutter didn't appear overnight. The timeline for our clutter growing is quite long, so of course it makes sense that actually it's going to take a while, it's going to take time for us to clear it, so that not only can we clear the clutter, but we can keep that stress that we experience with letting go, making decisions. We can actually allow for that stress to be minimized and controlled and adjusted to as we clear the clutter. Okay, I hope that's been useful. Again, know that you are not alone. Although we may not have friends or family who talk about their clutter challenges, it is a much wider problem than you might think. So again, hopefully this helps you be kinder to yourself. Allow yourself time to go on your clutter clearing journey and find ways to reduce that stress. We do that within the clutter community and there are ways that I can help you with that, but hopefully that has helped at least explain why it is that you feel stressed when you're doing your clutter clearing. Okay, I look forward to speaking to you soon and take care. Bye bye.